So now, more stories coming up, more pichachas coming up to you. Our next presenter is Chetna. So Chetna, let me tell you about Chetna. Chetna loves to read and quiz. She's a painter, she's a baker, and just like me, she's a Formula One lover. Chetna is quite impromptu. She might pick up a phone someday and just start writing a blog at any time. Currently, she's an L&D and employee engagement leader in an agriculture-based division in ITC. So, over to you, Chetna. Are we ready?
Thanks, Saurabh. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll just do a quick check and everything. I'll switch off my video to ensure bandwidth is
I've
proper.
made you the host, I think. Yeah.
Just let me know when you can see the presenter mode on the screen.
Yeah, sure.
Is it there? Can you see the presentation?
No, yeah, now it is visible. Yeah.
Others, one or two people, if you can just let me know. Sally, Minal.
Yes, we can check.
We can see. Okay. Great. So I'll begin. Good evening, everyone. The subject is me and my wisdom. I'm not a very wise person, but today I'll just make an attempt to talk about whatever wisdom I have, where have I gotten from. So what I'm going to do is over the next 4.5 minutes, I'm going to share a couple of stories with you, and then I'll let you know what has my how wise am I, if at all I am something. So all this images that you're going to see are all my paintings. So, and they stand for something. So I'll begin with the first one. So she was born and raised in the mountains and grew up around lush Dehradun. There is something about those who grow up in and with the mountains. I found them to be solid, sturdy, and immensely adaptable to change. My mother went to Delhi University, then to JNU, and then had my sister and me. At the age of 32, with a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old daughter, she chose to start her career. She unlearned and then relearned over the years. She decided to start her own at 45, and today is a director of a school with 250 kids studying under her vision. Not to mention, she's also the quickest to adapt to latest digital technology in our family. Her story is that of learning, relearning, and most importantly, unlearning. Since I remember, I've had an image of my father waiting for me or my sister on his cycle, later scooter, then motorbike, and further later in his car outside our school, bus stand, railway station, or airport. To this day, and I believe till forever that I get to live, the image of assurance of someone being there for me will be that of my father. Not because he arranged commute for us, but because without fail, he acted on his intent of reassuring. I refuse to believe that the patriarchal notion that it's the father's job to provide. His job is to let his kids know that they can rely on him, even if the whole world's against them. And that's what my father has done for me. He's taught me reassurance. She was a bright kid in her school days and topped her batch throughout till she turned 10. Our family shifted to Jaipur from a small town, and then for us to pursue our education in English medium school. It was an initial shock for her, and the bullies in her school would make sure that her days were hellish. She overcame that, went on to do her bachelor's in a different city on her own, went to a different country to do her master's, whilst doing a job on the side, and is just the strongest person that I know. She left to study abroad 10 days after her father was diagnosed with cancer. She was worried, but she didn't stop. He's better now, and she is a project manager with an identity of her own. She has taught me tenacity, and that's my sister. One of my closest college friends, and almost a little brother, this wonderful person was the crush of almost every girl I knew in my college. Of course, it came as a rude shock later that he's gay, and some of them were left heartbroken while others are still unaware and waiting for him to return their text. Anyway, he arranged a get together recently to celebrate his partnership, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to the same. I have seen this relationship for the last 8 years, and I do not know a warmer relationship with stronger commitment. Their relationship has taught me that love thrives on trust and commitment and not gender. I was 10 years old and somewhat a teacher's pet in school, so I was working on an extracurricular project with a teacher who has played a crucial part in shaping me. She is a deeply spiritual person with almost a saintess-like demeanor and attitude. She used to help all students who came her way and was a friend to almost everyone in school. On one particular day, I saw her almost tear-eyed and she muttered these words: "Nobody has the right to take out someone's anger on another person." These words got etched in my mind because she didn't say this out of anger, but deep disappointment in a colleague, and I had never seen her like that. What that taught me and what I carry with me to this day is that I make sure to be conscious of channelizing my emotions properly. I was reading a blog post recently wherein a 40-something woman had written about her choice of going for a hangout with a group of girlfriends whilst her husband questioned her choice and how would it affect their daughter. And her response was that their daughters would appreciate it, maybe not immediately, but later, that their mother chose to prioritize herself and had an identity of her own beyond being their mother or their dad's wife. Going for a dinner with friends might seem like a pretty mundane thing in this day and age. But for a mother to do that without her family in an Indian society is like literally breaking shackles. It takes courage, and it was so refreshing for me to see this happening. For a mother to be a woman with her choices before being the mother. I only wish she continues to do that, take a stand for herself without a shred of guilt and a whole lot of pride. She taught me to stand up for myself and my choices. I was scared of dogs for 28 years, and now I wonder why. I met this cute lab, he's my uncle's dog, and 2 hours with him took away my fear, and now I can't stop cuddling with him. His name is Oreo, and his wagging tail, puppy eyes, every time he wants food, and his jumps around me when he sees me have taught me the power of compassion. Accepting people for who they are, loving them nonetheless. Dogs are the warmest creature, and if every home had a pet, maybe the world would be a better place. I'm a writer's granddaughter and the daughter of two avid readers. My parents cultivated in me a taste for finesse in arts, literature, and cinema. And I grew up on phenomenal music, movies, but literature is something that I picked up later. And amongst the greatest finds there was Elizabeth Bennet. She's a central character of Pride and Prejudice, and oh gosh, what a lovely rich woman. And no, not the petty kind with money, but abound with ferocity, honesty, and pride. She chose to challenge norms around her and be different on her own terms. Perhaps my first exposure to a feminist character and through the lens of a fantastic author. Lizzie taught me to fearlessly embrace myself and to make a choice to be different among the rest. One of the most popular characters out of literature and arts, read my first Sherlock Holmes story when I was 12, and I just never gave up on him. I have watched almost every TV series made on him, read everything that's written on him, movies, different versions of his stories, and if you tell me there is a new one coming out, I will watch it like I'm watching him for the first time. Some of his theories are absolutely fantastic, like the one that says that your brain is like an attic with limited space. Be careful what you keep there. It's not the enigma of this character alone that I admire, it's his conviction. Sherlock Holmes has taught me conviction. The world got to know of an invasive cancer that he was suffering from after his death. For 4 years, Chadwick Boseman had a circle of solid people in his life who cared for him, looked after him without letting anyone else know. This might not sound like a big deal, but for someone who had played the titular role of one of the biggest blockbusters, Black Panther, it was a big deal to go through pain and suffering without making a spectacle out of it, especially in a world that's thriving on real life. Boseman taught me perhaps one of the greatest lessons, dignity and grace in pain. All of us grew up with at least one mention of the greatness of Michael Jordan. To me, he was one of the greatest basketball players, almost synonymous with the game. But that was till last year when I saw The Last Dance. This documentary on Netflix was a revelation of not only the outstanding athlete, but also fiercely competitive, focused human being that Jordan was. It was a kind of competitiveness that pushed others around to improve themselves. Another athlete that has displayed extreme competitiveness with passion is Lewis Hamilton. He is 7-time Formula One and current world champion. All these years, we were conditioned to either be competitive by pulling others down or by completely giving up the notion of being competitive. What The Last Dance and Hamilton reminded me of was the fact that you can be competitive with a focus on not bringing someone down, but by pulling yourself up. Jordan, Phil Jackson, the Bulls of 90s, Mercedes, and Hamilton hold a testimony to that. I rarely get affected by celebrities, what do they do, or their deaths. They are distant and a part of a different section of the world, which doesn't concern me. But that's the thing about Irfan. He transcended the status of a celebrity and became everybody's person. I'm not a movie buff, but I love watching Irfan on screen. His movies, even his interviews. A, because he's sharp and intelligent. B, his presence exudes honesty. I say exudes because even today, if I watch something, it reminds me that no matter what it takes, stick to your truth, stick to your principles. If it took decades for Irfan to get to where he got because he stuck with his honesty, maybe it's fine if I have to face some heat because I stick to mine. Today being his death anniversary, a tribute to him. Well, he has been given many names throughout his career, but the one that has stayed for the longest and strongest is The Wall. To say that Rahul Dravid is an exemplary cricketer would be an understatement. What makes him the epitome of success for me is his humility and the efforts that he has made to give it back to the sport whilst nurturing young talent. I don't like cricket, nor do I follow it, But Rahul Dravid has taught me why is it important to have a sane head above your shoulders, no matter how successful you are or have been. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of her. Hannah Gadsby is a stand-up comedian and one of the finest in her fields. She has 2 specials on Netflix called Nanette and Douglas. She speaks about the power of stories and connection in Nanette, and what starts as a laughter riot leaves the viewer teary-eyed as Gadsby takes you through her story. I thankfully watched this when I was recovering from a really bad breakup, and what a wonderful watch. She says that laughter is medicine and that stories hold a cure. I couldn't agree more. Last but not the least, in the stories, I joined this course in March, and being the skeptic that I am in my head, my purpose was to learn, get a certificate, and be done with the program. However, I will be graduating this Sunday, and I realized that this has been so much more than just a learning program. I have met some amazing people who are sharp, focused, and most importantly, kind. In these grim times, this group has become a community of learners, trainers, and coaches who are helping each other to cope up with the stress around. The banter, the fun, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And the most important thing that I discovered was that there were more like me who are usually skeptical, but who found a bond in this group that has given them some laughter, some motivation, and a feeling of belonging. This is to my batch 12.5. So what was the point of all this? Why did I give you an unsolicited peek into my life, or how have I grown up, or have been taught, etc., etc.? Why do I need to speak about my teachers or sports people I like or actors that I like? It's pretty simple. Whatever wisdom I have garnered so far has not been mine. It's through my family, the people I've met, the teachers who've taught me, the movies that I've seen, the books that I've read, and the community that I'm a part of that have taught me the stories, that stories hold a cure, that stories give wisdom to those who are seeking it. My story is not mine alone, same as yours isn't yours. We must be in the driver's seat of our stories, yes, but to assume that our stories and therefore wisdom are only ours doesn't sit well with me. I'm a history student. I will forever be one. And one thing that history has taught me better than any other thing is that a society evolves on the collective wisdom of its dwellers. If you study the history of arts, aesthetic, if you go back to cave paintings, you will find that most paintings depict groups of people doing things together. It could be hunting, cooking, making tools, or just wandering, as you see in this picture. The fundamental of human existence has been connection, because connection builds stories and stories bind us together. They help us to see beyond our singular existence and remind us that we are a part of something bigger and better. They impart wisdom. So, me and my wisdom is essentially a collection of stories that started in those cave paintings and has traveled so far through various media to me. Thank you. I hope it was time well.
Fantastic.
Woo,
Wow.
Chetna.
Awesome, Chetna.
Super awesome.
Amazing, Chetna. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Chetna.
Amazing.
Chetna, I just want to say one thing. Dehradun girls are the smartest.
They are. Yes, they are. There's no doubt. Yes.
You get a lot of surprises with the pictures you've drawn. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Riddhi. Thank you.
Fantastic, Chetna. I actually thought I was totally into a story. You know, we watch on the television or we read into the books. I thought we were totally into that. It was one hell of
Thank you.
a
Thank you. Thank you so much.
good.
Thanks
Great,
to my
Chetna, great. I think
Thank
you'll be the show stealer today. It was absolutely fantastic.
Hi, Sonia. So good to see you. After so long. How are
So
you?
good to see you. I'm doing great. Thank you.
I must say one more time.
Yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you.